Welcome to the Man with No Name podcast. I'm your host, the Man with No Name. I'm no single man, yet I'm every person. I'm you, exploring the highs and lows, the shared journey of parenthood, marriage, spiritual healing, and personal growth. Thanks for joining me. Episode 1, Introduction. Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Man with No Name podcast. I'm your host, and I'm excited to embark on this journey with you. So here we are, a new podcast, and along with that comes a bunch of new questions. What's the point of this podcast? Who is it for? Who are you? I'm going to answer all those questions starting right now. So what is the Man with No Name podcast? At its core, this podcast is about connection through shared experience. While I remain anonymous, I'm not distant. I'm actually just like you. There's a collective awakening of consciousness of men and women, of people going on right now as we speak. People are waking up and saying that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not have all the answers, to need help. It's okay to feel. It's okay to be alive. And it's okay to want to be better. This show is for anyone navigating the joys and challenges of life, especially husbands, fathers, sons, brothers, wives, daughters, mothers. Anyone striving to be a good person. Anyone striving to get through this life in one piece. On this podcast, we're going to cover it all. The joys, the sorrows, the trials, the wins and losses, the darkest nights of the soul to the brightest sunrises. We're going to explore lessons from adulthood, childhood, corporate life, entrepreneurship, the highs and lows of marriage, parenting, fitness and nutrition, and even delve into the exploration of consciousness in the use of psychedelics. The aim is to create a space where we can reflect, relate, and learn from each other. My hope is that this becomes not just a show, but a conversation, a chance to grow together, and for you to remember that you are not alone. I am not alone. We are not alone. So who am I? Who is behind the Man with No Name podcast? The short answer is, I'm you. Actually, in the future, when I have people on the show, and to preserve my anonymity, when they refer to me, I'm going to ask that they call me you. I'm not any one particular man. But yet I'm every man. I'm someone who has walked many of the same paths that you have. I've been through successes and failures as a father, a husband, and in my own personal growth. I'm a voice. I'm a voice that mirrors your own internal voice, validating your thoughts, beliefs, fears, and concerns. So why am I anonymous? Being anonymous serves really two purposes. Number one, it protects my identity as I don't want recognition. I'm not doing this for gain. I'm just trying to put my thoughts and learnings into the universe. Number two is to help with vulnerability and also help with relatability. It allows me to be raw, to be real, to have no agenda other than to be fully authentic. I'm going to share all of my own thoughts, wishes, aspirations, fears, and shortcomings. I'm going to be open and honest on what I'm doing to elevate myself in all the roles I previously mentioned. I'm not any kind of expert. I'm just a man with my own personal experiences that maybe you can relate to and maybe they can help you. I've spent years navigating the complexities of corporate life and the entrepreneurial world. I've seen what works and what doesn't, both professionally and personally. I've faced the challenges that come with trying to balance work, marriage, fatherhood, while also trying to take care of myself physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I've looked at myself in the mirror and said, enough, and done the shadow work to bring myself into the light. I've learned to give myself grace and to love myself so others can love me as well, which in turn allows me to fully love those around me, including my family and my friends. But why am I doing this? Why share these stories and experiences? Honestly, it comes down to two things: connection and growth. The more I talk to people and share openly, the more I realize how universal our struggles and triumphs really are. There's something powerful about sharing our experiences. It breaks down walls, builds empathy, and reminds us that we're not alone. My why also has roots in leaving something meaningful behind. I want my kids and anyone that listens to hear these stories and know that it's okay to struggle, to feel lost, to fail. But what really matters is how we get back up, how we grow from these moments, that it's okay to be perfectly imperfect. If my experiences can help someone else on the journey, this podcast has done its job. I believe that sharing our human experiences, anonymously or not, connects us deeply, and that's why this podcast now exists. Looking ahead, I'll be diving into specific topics in each episode. In the next few, I'll be sharing lessons from my childhood, the ups and downs of corporate life, and the wild ride of starting a small business. We'll explore the realities of marriage, both the beauty and the work that it requires, and the raw, honest truths about being a parent. I'll also get into some deeper, more personal journeys, like how I went from a self-described unconscious caveman to awakening and becoming truly self-aware. I'll also talk about how plant medicine has influenced my consciousness and understanding of life. I'll share my thoughts on fitness, nutrition, meditation, and how those aspects play into being the best version of ourselves. There will be times where it's just me talking. Other times I'll have guests on. I'll even occasionally have my kids on where you can listen in on conversations that I have with them. Then we go back and dissect the conversations with a parenting lens. No topic is off limits, and my hope is that there'll be something in each episode for everyone. Here's the call to action. I want you to be a part of this journey too. If you have stories, questions, or even topics you'd like me to cover, reach out to me at themanwithnonamepodcast@gmail.com. This is a space for growth, connection, and community, and your input will help shape where this podcast goes. Thank you for joining me today and taking this first step with the Man with No Name podcast. I'm looking forward to the conversations that we're going to have and the journey that we'll take together. Remember, even though I'm a man with no name, I'm just like you. I am you. We're all walking this path together and trying to walk each other home. If there's one thing I want you to take home from this, is that I truly, truly want to help. Signing off and hoping you'll join me next time.